So when do they become babies?
When they are born.
What are they before?
A fetus and a clump of cells.
Okay. So do you think your daughter was not a baby 10 minutes before you gave birth?
No.
What was she? What were you growing?
She is growing. Like I said, she is fully developing and stuff like that.
Right.
And like I said, the day I give birth, she is a full-on baby and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, it comes down to the woman's choice when it comes to what they decide what they would like to do with that baby or not.
So what were you growing inside of you if your daughter was not a baby?
He was developing into a baby.
First off, did you stay up all night or did you just wait till the morning?
Both.
Both?
Both. So I stayed up till about like 11, and then my husband kept telling me, you need to go to bed. And I'm like, just one more peek, just one more peek. And then I woke up, had to go to the bathroom, checked at like 2 in the morning, and I was like, okay, if we get this state and this state and this state, we might be good. And then I took my daughter to school. And I really wasn't, honestly, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't happy.
You weren't happy?
No,
so that was your reaction.
Yes.
You weren't happy?
Not at all.
Okay. Why not?
Because I think it's one of those things. I am a woman, and it's one of those things. I do believe in women's rights. I do believe she can do a lot of change with our country and stuff like that. And we've already had Trump in that aspect, and clearly we did not get what we were seeing out of that. And I think the world definitely needs something a little different at the end of the day. And I do believe in what she stands by and what stands for. I have a 14-year-old daughter. And I vote for her, and I vote for a lot of things with women's rights, and not just that, but also equality. Basically, you know, we're all human at the end of the day, and I think it's very important for all of us to come together and be one, and not be so diverse and against each other at the end of the day. So,
okay. So when you say women's rights, is there any specific policy of hers that you were like, oh yeah, that is my right, that is something that affects me directly?
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to women's rights, I think we should have the right to our own choice with our own bodies, whether we want contraceptive, whether we want to be able to have the option if we do get raped or something like that, and that situation happens where we can take control. And I do not believe the government should be involved with a woman's bodies or rights at the end of the day. So it's one of those things. Before I had my daughter, I actually had a miscarriage. And guess what the option was? An abortion. So it's one of those things. Basically at the time it was, hey, if it happens naturally, cool, but if it doesn't, you still have to go down that route where technically, yes, it does fall into an abortion. So my heart does definitely go out to a lot of women that, you know, down the road they do want to keep their baby, they want that baby, and it's 8 months down the road and something happens, and now they're in critical condition where the fact that they literally have to be so life-threatened to where they can't get that as an option, and that's just unfortunate. And then that mom could leave 5 children behind. So at my point, that's where I do stand on. I believe women do have that right, and I don't think a man should make that choice for a woman at all.
Okay, so just to clarify, you think that when a woman experiences a miscarriage, they get an abortion?
No, not necessarily. No, it's one of those things, so it depends where you're at. If, say, you're 6 months pregnant and stuff like that, and there's complications that are physically happening, and the doctor's like, hey, this is what's going on, your baby's not going to survive. But depending on what state you're in and stuff like that, that can be a whole different ballgame. They have to be like, well, what's going on with the baby? Is this happening? Is that happening? There's a lot that has to escalate before they can physically make that decision. So for me and stuff like that, when I did have that situation, it's just kind of like, again, I don't want somebody to tell me I have to wait till I'm basically on my deathbed before they can physically make a full situation where, oh, she's sepsis, this is what's kind of happening kind of deal.
Right. To clarify, just because we don't want to spread any misinformation, there is no state in the country that prohibits a woman from receiving care in the effect that she needs a D&C or something when the fetus is not alive.
Right.
So I guess I know how you feel about Amendment 4.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think that says about the people of Florida that they rejected Amendment 4?
It makes me very sad. It makes me very sad. You know, I do feel we were definitely really close to where we needed to be and stuff like that. Again, having that option to have that choice at the end of the day, depending where you're at, whether it was, again, rape or something that you have complications down the road, having that as an option, you know, healthcare shouldn't be an option. It should always be there for you. You should always have that for you. So like I said, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. A woman should have a choice over her body.
So Amendment 4 was to put into the Constitution the point of viability.
Yeah.
And then they also added protections for rape, incest, and the health of the mother. And so you don't agree with that?
No, I feel like, again, like I said, if a woman gets raped, or even my daughter got raped at 14 years old.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things at the end of the day, like, we should have that choice.
So the amendment would allow that choice.
Right, allow that choice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was wrong with the amendment?
Nothing was wrong with the amendment. It just did not pass. As in, for a woman to have a physical abortion and stuff like that, whether it's rape, it's incest, or it's just unwanted. Maybe you're in a situation like, hey, I've done everything under the sun, whether it's protection, whether it's an IUD, whether it's birth control and stuff like that, and things just do happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is the law right now.
Yes.
That is the law right now. You can receive in Florida, you can receive
Florida.
all that care.
But it's also like, again, with
well, let me ask you this: is it just like would you be in favor of banning abortions in every other case except medically necessary or rape or incest?
No.
So you think abortion should be allowed for any reason?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. No, we'll be right there. We'll be right there. That was my babysitter calling. I have to go. My baby is crying, and she's like, you have to pay me $1 million to deal with this crying baby right now. Come feed your kid. So I need your help. If you want me to continue coming out here and creating this content that you love, go to patreon.com/Kaitlin Bennett. $5 a month gets you into my private Facebook group where we can chat one-on-one, share some jokes, and celebrate the outcome of this election. Or alternatively, you can leave a super thanks right below, and you don't have to sign up for anything. Thanks.
Okay. I do. I think it should be a woman's choice, definitely. Now, I think there should be a specific spot, yes, where it comes to a certain cutoff.
When is that cutoff for you?
Things. Honestly, I really don't know. Yeah. I really wouldn't know where that line would draw when it comes to a cutoff, whether it be, 8 weeks, 16 weeks and stuff like that. But if a woman, say she's 8 months, I do not feel like just out of nowhere she'd be like, I just decided I don't want it anymore. No.
You think that should not be allowed?
No, I don't. I think at a certain point you should know kind of in that point. But when it comes to medical and stuff like that, that's where it's very important, where we do have to have that in play to give that woman, her life at the end of the day. Because if it's physically costing her life, where she's in a situation where, yes, there's something that's happening, that's how you have to save the mom and stuff like that. So I know Florida is a little different on certain things, but speaking for all women around the entire world, it is very important for me. So even having it here when they do, exceed that specific ban and stuff like that, again, at the end of the day, they should have a choice on their own body.
What would you say to a woman who voted no on that amendment and voted for Trump because they don't want to have that in their state? They don't want those laws.
I think at the end of the day, it is your decision.
Yeah.
It is your decision. I can't sit here and try to convince somebody otherwise. All I can do is try to educate them on my knowledge and stuff like that, and explain my views and why. But it's one of those things, if that's what they truly believe in, that's what they truly believe in, unfortunately. And I would just say, hey, do your research. Do your research, understand what's really happening in the world, and why women choose to actually have an abortion. It's not like we're just going out killing babies. That's not.
Well, 98% of abortions are elective reasons, because the woman just decides that they don't want to be a mom yet, they aren't in the financial position, they don't have a partner. And that statistic comes from the Guttmacher Institute, which is the research arm of Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
So 98% of abortions are elective just because they don't want them. It's not medical, it's not rape, and it's not incest.
Yeah.
But you think that's totally okay. It doesn't have to be a medical emergency. It doesn't need to be an emergency at all.
I don't know the reason behind it, and again, I don't know the percentages on how many people actually physically get that done without medical and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's a reason for it. And it's one of those things, it's if that mom decided hey, I'm in a situation, this is what happened, or, again, I don't really know their specific situation on that aspect of it. I just know that that's your body. You should have the right to do that. I don't think people should ever abuse it. If you're a woman, then you came into the clinic 5 times, now that's a problem. Now
how does that make it a problem, but the person who came in once isn't a problem?
Well, if you're doing 5 or 6 times, you're just having abortions, I think we need to rethink other things.
But why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because now they're just abusing it. Now they're just kind of using it as a typical birth control. That's not birth control.
But wouldn't that be okay if it were legal and you don't support limiting abortions for any reason?
If it was legal, having certain laws in place after a certain time, after hey, you can't go in 10, 20 times. To me now that just shows a physical problem. You're not doing what you need to do to prevent yourself. You're not taking care of yourself as a person. You're just kind of going in and be oh, this is just the easiest route, let's just do that. No, I don't think that at all. I think at the end of the day, if I end up getting pregnant, I should have that right to go in to make that decision for myself.
But if a woman's been in there 5, 6 times, and they're like having a punch card because they've been in there for so many.
No, I don't.
So what? But why? Because if it's okay to go in once, why wouldn't it be okay to go in 5 or 6 times? What's the difference?
Because again, that just shows how irresponsible they're being. Like if it's happened the first time, you as a person, you made that physical decision, hey, I financially can't afford this. Or 2, I just don't want a baby. I'm not in a good situation for this at all. Again, that's a mom decision. But when it comes to 6, 7, 8, 10 times, again, that just literally shows me the irresponsible of that person. You do not value life at all when it comes to that sort of stuff. I think it's one of those things when something becomes excessive, that becomes now a problem. Again, it's kind of one of those things when you abuse kind of like certain power and stuff like that. Now it's like, that's what a lot of people are looking at. Like I said, I feel like, again, like a punch card. You should have like, hold on, here's my punch card.
Is it because they just keep terminating their children? Like they just keep choosing instead of raising their children?
7, 10 times. I don't know why somebody would want to go in there 6, 7, 10 times, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things, it's just, again, that shows the irresponsibility of that person, because there's other options, like, are we not on birth control? Are you in a relationship where maybe that's not kind of working out and it just keeps happening and you're doing what you feel like you need to do, but then how can we help her escape something like that where she keeps, say, getting pregnant, say, continuously? Or, hey, how can we help you? Do we need to get the tubes tied? Stuff like that. How can we help you so you can kind of like avoid the situation for yourself?
So do you think women who are repeat customers, do you think they should be turned away at a certain point and say, no, you're going to give birth this time?
I don't know if we feel like we should force something like that. I feel like, again, if there is a law with something, like say, hey, if you came in like, I don't know, I feel like more than once, honestly, that's a little much for me, because I feel like if I went in and stuff like that and I had to go for a second time, then I'm going to probably reevaluate my values and be like, why is this happening again? And stuff like that. Again, if I didn't want children and stuff like that, then I would be getting my tubes tied in that case. But some women do get their tubes tied,
yes,
and things do happen. And it's like, but that's where we have that in that case where you can take care of it at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just one of those things. Again, I don't know what the excessive amount would be, in all honesty, because I can't speak why they're in that situation.
I think maybe, and this is what I'm trying to I guess pull out of you. If you think it's excessive, 2 times, even 5, 6 times, I think it would probably be excessive at one time, because there's a reason you believe that that's excessive at that point. Because I think deep down we know that that is a child. And we know that that's a life, and we know that that life is innocent. And so if it's not okay to do it if a woman can't go in there and do it to 5 of her children, I think deep down we know that she shouldn't be doing it to even 1 of her children for any reasons. And I think maybe deep down you know that. Because but why is it okay if she does it to the first child but not the 5th?
Because it's having that as an option. Because it's one of those things.
You don't think she should have that option, because you want to limit it at 5 or 6, but you're okay with her doing it to her first child, her second child. I don't understand but why? But why? What's happening? Why is it excessive?
She's not being responsible as a person. So if I'm one of those and just be like, oh, I don't need to be on birth control, I don't need to have an IUD, I can just go in and get an abortion and stuff like that, that's excessive. That's not you being responsible as a person. That's like, at the end of the day, again, it's like, you clearly don't want a kid. You clearly don't want a kid, and again, that's okay, but you need to take other measures to make sure that doesn't keep happening. Right. At the end of the day, if I had my tubes tied, all this sort of stuff, I prevented everything under the sun, I cannot physically afford a child, or nor do I want one. I want to be able to have that as an option if something like that did happen. I've done everything to prevent something like this happening. Or what if I did get raped? What if something like that does happen? I'm sorry. I get like where people stand from, it's a baby and stuff like that. Everyone's got a view, whether it's a baby, whether it's a fetus and stuff like that.
Do you think it is a baby?
No, I do not.
No,
I do not.
What is it?
It's a fetus. So it's a clump of cells. Basically, it is forming and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, like I said, I wouldn't feel very fair if I brought a child into the world that I physically can't take of and afford. Now, even if I did, people's like, oh, you can give it up for adoption. Yes, that's great. There's so many kids, one, they need to be up for adoption. They can't get adopted. It's very expensive to adopt. And on top of that, the foster care system is very broken in so many ways, which is unfortunate. But if someone forced me, one, I have to take time off work. I can be sick, morning sickness. Now I'm missing work. Medical bills. Who's going to cover my medical bills? Who's going to cover all that sort of stuff? Who's going to cover the delivery part? It comes on me. And that's a lot of responsibility. One, if I said I can't physically afford a baby, now I have to have medical bills. Now I'm missing work. Now I'm missing time off and stuff like that.
Do you think perhaps a human life is far more important than a paycheck or an hours worked, or if you're puking, I get morning sickness, terrible morning sickness. It's unbearable for me. And not once have I ever thought it would be better for my child to not be in this world and not be growing inside of me, for me to have that privilege and that blessing to bring a child onto this earth and give someone life, to puke for maybe, 40 weeks. I think that in society, we're a little too selfish, that we don't deserve to suffer for the sake of someone that we are blessed with carrying and giving life onto this earth. I think your reasons that working for, that's why, maybe you can't take care of a child, or I have to miss work, and we can use those same reasons for children today that are 5 or 6 years old, or 14 years old, or 2 years old. All of those reasons you just gave me, we could absolutely apply to children who are breathing oxygen on their own right now today. And you would never agree that those would be good reasons to end their life or do anything to harm them, right?
Again, at the end of the day, it is the woman's choice. Not saying it's just about a paycheck or anything like that, but if I physically cannot give that child everything they need in life, let alone, again, sending them out into the foster care system, adoption system, and stuff like that, no, I do not feel as a mother, if I feel like I cannot give them a viable life, no. No, at the end of the day, I feel like I made the right decision, what I feel is best for me, and what I feel would be best for them down the road. Again, it's one of those things.
Well, down the road, you don't even give them a road to travel down by taking away that opportunity from them. So when do they become babies?
When they are born.
What are they before?
A fetus and a clump of cells.
Okay. So do you think your daughter was not a baby 10 minutes before you gave birth?
No.
What was she? What were you growing?
She is growing. Like I said, she is fully developing and stuff like that.
Right.
And like I said, the day I give birth, she is a full-on baby and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like I said, it comes down to the woman's choice when it comes to what they decide what they would like to do with that baby or not.
So what were you growing inside of you if your daughter was not a baby?
He was developing into a baby. And
so before what is it with the birth canal?
37 weeks or whatever they consider is actually that part where the baby can survive outside the womb.
21 weeks.
Like surviving 21 weeks outside the womb and stuff like that. And again, even when you give birth outside the womb, they still have to be on machines. There's still not that huge chance of them surviving. So like I said, it's one of those things, everyone has their beliefs on certain things, whether they believe it's a fetus, whether they believe it's a baby and stuff like that.
What is a fetus? So if your parent, if your father is a human and your mother is a human, what does that make you?
Well, now I'm like an adult, a person. But like I said,
you were always a person. When you were conceived inside your mother's womb, you were always a person. You've always been a person. There is no way that your daughter could have come out anything other than a baby. I'm so sorry for this. When you had a miscarriage, that was also a baby, and I'm so sorry for the pain that you experienced in that. And I will pray for you.
Really?
With what DNA? What type of DNA?
Was mine, but like I said,
no, it wasn't your DNA. It was a baby's DNA. It was
DNA.
It's half of your DNA, because when a sperm and an egg come together, that's 2 halves of DNA. So that creates a unique person who will never exist again, never have that DNA again. So it's not you. So when abortions happen and miscarriages happen, and again, I'm very, very sorry for your loss, that is not you. You are not aborting yourself. You are aborting someone else with entirely different DNA than yourself. And so I guess I don't understand, because you say that it's excessive over a certain amount of times, and then you say that it's not a baby until given birth. I don't understand where you're coming from. Why would it be excessive if it's not a baby? But if it's not a baby, then why does it matter?
Because I think it's just, again, it's being irresponsible. You're just being an irresponsible person and going in and getting a care that is absolutely becoming now at this point unnecessary. Like I said, it's anything that becomes excessive and stuff like that. Like I said, it's one of those things, as a person, as a woman, as an adult, you need to be responsible. Be responsible whether you are going to give birth to a child or whether you are not, and taking what is best interest in for you, but also that child. And I understand where you're coming from. Yes, we don't know who they could have been. They could have been the next president for all we know, right? But
they could have just been alive. They could have just been. Right? They could have been someone's daughter or son, and they are someone's daughter or son. They are aborted people.
That best life
are daughters and sons. It doesn't matter. No one has to have the best life. They just have to be given life itself and a chance to make whatever whatever opportunities they want in their life. No one has to have the best life.
If I have that baby, guess
then
what?
step up.
Nobody cares.
Then step up and do what you got to do. I think women in this country are not told to just step up. Yeah, you got pregnant and now you are responsible. You have a level of care. They deserve, you know who has rights in this country? Children have rights to be cared for by their parents, and that extends to when they're in the womb, because they fully...
Until I literally physically deliver the baby, and then after that, they don't give a shit what happens. They can come just
Who's
take
they?
the baby away. The entire government. If I'm not taking care of that child, if I can not give them the best life, maybe I'm a mom that's living in a 1-bedroom apartment and I got 7 kids. Guess who's gonna call freaking CPS on me because this is what I can physically afford? Then they're gonna be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have that many kids. Well, now what do I do? I'm trying to give my kids the best life and stuff like that. So if I have 7 kids, I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment because that's what I physically can afford. Maybe baby daddy's not in the picture. Maybe I'm not getting child support. I'm not getting help from mom and dad and stuff like that. Right. At the end of the day, then they come take my children away. Do I want that? That's a lot of stress that goes into those children at the end of the day. Okay? So do I feel like if I gave birth to 7 children, I cannot give them the best life possible, and now they're being taken away? Now they got people at the door taking them out of my custody, out of my care. Now I'm going through all the trials.
Would it have been better for them to just be dead?
I wouldn't say just to be dead. I'm just saying...
Well, you're saying if this is their circumstances, would it have been better for them to be aborted?
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, when you got a mom saying she wants 7 kids and stuff like that, she does everything in her power to take care of them. Because say she physically, superwoman, she wants to take care of them. She wants to do that. But someone comes along and says, oh, she's living in a 1-bedroom apartment. She can't take care of them. Their clothes are dirty. Maybe they're smelly. And that mom's doing everything she can and somehow gets those kids taken away from her because she can't physically provide from them. That is very traumatic, okay? I'm not saying that mom had to abort all 7 of her children. I think as women, we're trying to prevent something where I can't physically give them everything they need. I have 1 daughter. I do not want more, because at the end of the day, I feel like I can give her everything she needs and everything she wants at the end of the day, and I can help her succeed to where she needs to be. Right. If I have more kids, with how much I get paid, with working and all that sort of stuff, can I give them the full attention I need to do at the end of the day?
Yeah, you can.
I don't want my child to get neglected and stuff like that and stuff, you know, and it's one of those things, like I said, if I can't give them that, then you got kids, they got depression, they got suicide. There's
what does this have to do? But what does this have to do?
We're to talk about abortion and kind of preventing people.
We're on a public sidewalk, so we're going to stand where we want to stand. Anyway,
I want to wrap this up.
Yeah, me too.
All I'm saying is...
one question. How does any of that... How does any of that tie into the abortion?
A viable life. A viable life. I have 1 kid. If I have another, I cannot give them everything they physically need.
You were just eating at 1961, which is a very expensive restaurant. I know that you could afford another child.
Really? So you know what I
Yes,
pay?
I know that you are strong enough, and I know that you guys are smart enough that if you were to get pregnant again, you would love that baby. And if that baby, and I mean, here in Florida, thank God, you probably wouldn't be able to go through with that choice, and I praise the Lord for that. But you would look at that baby and you would think every day how grateful you are for them. How grateful you are for them. It doesn't matter what you get paid. It doesn't matter what you get paid, because no one's life is worth a paycheck to end it. That's not how, and I'm so sorry that you have the mindset. I think you're a very strong woman, and I think women women are resilient. Women are resilient. Women are resilient. That's fine. I'm going to talk to my audience. That's fine. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate that. And I know that you can achieve anything you can do. And I know your children are worth it. I know you're...
My child has been worth everything, and I fought everything for her to even be where I'm at today.
That's right. So. And I know you could do it for any one of your children. And I know you would succeed, because I can see it in you. You are very strong. You're very opinionated. And I know that you could do anything you set your life out to. And I feel that way. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. And that's a call to all women out there. You can raise a child. There are so many resources out there for your help. Government, pro-life centers, or even just reaching out to friends and family. really have a hard time believing that her or most women in this country could not make it happen to have more children and that they resort to abortion. If you need help, if you need resources and you are pregnant and you're considering abortion, please just Google, that's free, pro-life centers near me and help with children near me. You can find those resources and they will help you with whatever you need. Specifically, Let Them Live is a good organization. Live Action with Lila Rose is a good organization. Literally just a Google away. We will help you and you can receive help. Please do not kill your child.